Hello, it's Lord Slar here, and today we're going to be talking about Series 10. It airs in a few days, so I thought it'd be quite a good idea to give you some pre-thoughts on the series, what I'm thinking right now about the current series, and generally, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. That doesn't mean I've got particularly high hopes. I'm not sure if I think it's going to be good or bad. I'm just going to have to wait and see, because it could be either right now at the moment, but I am really looking forward to seeing it at least. And I think that's probably due to the fact that we haven't had any proper new Doctor Who in a year. And no, I don't count the return of Dr. Mysterio, as that was a load of bollocks, as you can see in my review I did back a few months ago. But either way, let's get into the video. I may be covering a few things that I've covered before on this channel, but I might give you an updated opinion and also some new things that came to light to talk about, so yeah, let's get into it. So to start off, I'm going to be looking at episode titles and the writers that were attached to them. I know I did something similar to this quite a while ago, but that was before all the writers were announced, and also I do know a little bit about some of these episodes now, so let's go and talk about it. So first off is The Pilot, written by Stephen Moffat. Not a fan of that title, and the main reason why is because Moffat kind of wants to do a soft reboot of the series, which, you know, Moffat, you've done that for the past two series. Series 8 was allegedly meant to be a departure from the Matt Smith era. To the extent that that happened, it did happen a bit, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't that drastically different as you were saying. Then you tried it again with Series 9, which, in fairness, it was a lot different from Series 8, but it felt right at home in the Matt Smith era, so it wasn't really that much of a reboot. Will this be any different? Well, we'll have to wait and see, but the fact that he's trying to make this a starting point, and that's in his own words, for viewers, I think is a bit of a snub to Chibnall. I think he should be the one who's giving it a soft reboot to them, or even just a general, pretty firm reboot, not a hard reboot, because that'd be a bit too far, but a firm reboot to the point where you could start there and watch Doctor Who from there on, whereas here, right at the end of an era, to have something where it's like, oh, you could start here, no, I don't think that's a good idea. I think that's a bit of a snub, but it's nothing too major. I hope the episode's good. Don't have too much hope for it, because Moffat series openers have had a pretty bad reputation for a while now. I mean, the start of Series 6 with the Impossible Astronaut and stuff, that was alright. But Asylum of the Daleks, ugh, a deep breath, ugh. And then the one last year, well, not last year, 2 years ago now actually, with The Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, that wasn't very good either, so yeah. Not a good reputation for Moffat there, but, you know, maybe he can do good. I mean, he did do good with the Series 6 opener, and a lot of people liked the 11th hour. I didn't personally, but maybe it could be alright. We'll see. Next is Smile, written by Frank Cotrell-Boyce. So, I said previously, give this writer a chance, even though he written it at the Forest of Night, because I noticed a lot of people were being, very negative towards him. Like, that's one story. Everybody can fuck up. Robert Holmes wrote The Crotons and The Space Pirates before writing all sorts of classics. I'm slightly less enthusiastic about him now, not that I was really enthusiastic back then, I was just saying give him a chance, but Emoji Robots kind of strikes me as a bit of a kind of cash grab, because the BBC are just going for whatever's popular, whatever the kids are into, and hoping that they can sell like emoji toys. I mean, obviously that's just a theory. Maybe the episode will have some clever social commentary, or it could just be a generally good episode, who knows. But Emoji Robots, initial impressions, I don't like the sound of them, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll have to wait and see. The next one is Thin Ice, copying the title of a Sylvester McCoy story, which was planned to be in season 27, but released by Big Finish. This seems to be annoying a lot of people, but you know what? It's a lost story. It doesn't really matter that much, because, those stories aren't really meant to exist anyway. And it's by Sarah Dollard, who wrote Face the Raven last season, and it's set in Victorian London on a frozen Thames. Seems like a pretty good setting. I really, really hope the Paternoster gang aren't back, as you may know, I really, really do not like them. But, don't know enough about this episode to really judge. Capaldi's costume looks nice, but we'll have to wait and see if it's any good. Could be great. Knock Knock by Mike Barlett. Oh Christ, that is an awful name for a story. Knock Knock. Oh well, terrible names aside, it's a new writer, we'll see how it is. He's best known for comedy, so my guess is this will be a more comedic episode, which maybe a bit concerned about, as New Who's comedic episodes usually don't strike a chord with me. I'm not a fan of New Who's humour for the most part, and if this is just a humorous episode, may not be that good. But then, I don't know, maybe they've got a comedy writer to write horror. it's possible. We'll have to wait and see, really. But it would make sense to kind of have a comedy one with Thin Ice. That looks pretty serious. And we've got the next one, which is meant to be a horror. Then, like, this three-part epic with monks coming after the horror. It would make sense to have a comedy episode there, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Oxygen by Jamie Matheson. I'm a big fan of Jamie Matheson. I'm really looking forward to this episode. Name's a bit crap, but not as bad as Knock Knock, so I can forgive it. And apparently it's going to be a horror story, as I just said, which I'm looking forward to. I love a bit of sci-fi horror. I love Jamie Matheson's writing. Really excited for this one. I don't know if it will be good. I'm just excited to see it. I may be disappointed, and that'll be on me, but that's the one I'm most looking forward to out of this season. I hope Jamie Matheson can pull it off again, as he was so horribly held back by Moffat in Series 9, I felt, because he had to write an episode with him and it wasn't that good. Extremist, written by Stephen Moffat. And this is the first one in the three-part trilogy, which I suppose I'll just reel off the names and do it all in one. After Extremis is The Pyramid at the End of the World by Peter Harness and Stephen Moffat, and The Lie of the Land by Toby Whithouse. Not sure what I think of this. I love the idea of a three-parter in New Who. I'm glad to see they're experimenting, and it's by different writers. Very interesting. This could work, or it could be a clusterfuck, because as a lot of writers will tell you, getting lots of writers involved in like one story often leads to a bit of a mess, but at the same time, it could be good. I mean, look at City of Death. That had 3 writers involved, Graham Williams, David Fisher, and Douglas Adams, and that turned out brilliant, and a really tight, well-written story. So, you don't know, this could work, it might not work, but either way, I think it's just good that they are experimenting. So, no problem with this. Peter Harness, not a fan of him, but I'm willing to give him another chance. If he fucks up again, he's officially just going on my no, I do not like you list, like, permanently, because I've given him a fair chance once I get to his third episode that I don't like, but I hope he does do well. I hope it does turn out good. But we'll wait and see. The next one is The Empress of Mars by Mark Gatiss. Gatiss, very odd writer. He will either write something that's an abomination, or something that's maybe not amazing, but it's fun. So, what's this one going to be like? I don't know. Mark Gatiss is a very temperamental writer. You never know what kind of quality he's going to produce. I mean, I would be surprised if it was a really, really, really good episode as, sorry Mark, that's generally not what you end up writing. That's not a slight against you, because your fun episodes are really, really fun and pretty well written. It's just, I don't see this being anything amazing, but it could be a good story. I really hope they get the portrayal of the Ice Warriors right this time. I want to see them massacring people, like in the Seeds of Death, That's how they're meant to be. They're meant to be this kind of brutal, if somewhat honourable warriors, who, they just like war. That's just part of their code as a society, really. So after that is The Eaters of Light by Rona Munro. I'm also really looking forward to this one. And this is actually by the same director, Chris Palmer, who is doing Oxygen, and I think this one's probably going to be another horror from what we've seen and heard, and the fact that it's by the same director. I don't know if he's famous for horror or anything, I need to research that, but who knows. Eaters of Light looks really interesting. I think it's set in Roman Britain, and sounds like a horror. It's written by Roland Munro, who wrote Survival. I have high hopes for this one. Could be really good. I'm definitely looking forward to it, but again, as with all of these, we'll have to wait and see. They could be any quality. The thing is, we really don't know with this season. It's really up in the air. I mean, it is most seasons, but particularly with this one, I just have no idea what I'm going to think. And now, on to the end of the series, the 2-part finale, World, Enough and Time and the Doctor Falls, written by Stephen Moffat, and this is the one with the Mondasian Cybermen. So a little update on my opinion on that. Mondasian Cybermen, they do look a bit odd, the new ones that they've made. Like the old ones, they had this very skeletal kind of appearance with the mask, and it looked horrifying. Whereas the new ones, it just looks a bit camp. And I understand from somebody's perception, maybe the 10th Planet ones do look a bit camp. But you shouldn't purposely, I'm not saying they are purposely making them look camp in Series 10, but it looks like they have. And I would prefer to have the more skeletal, horrifying looking ones from the 10th Planet. I don't know how you can manage to downgrade a design that was done 50 years ago on a lower budget, but somehow they've managed it. But who knows, maybe it'll look good on camera. We'll have to wait and see, because obviously going through all that editing, things look a lot different from, a photograph on set to the actual finished product these days, just as I said, with the amount of editing they do. As for the title World Enough and Time the Doctor Falls, the Doctor Falls sounds a bit crap. World Enough and Time actually comes from a poem and is already the name of a Doctor Who story. Not a very famous one, but it's one that was written very recently for the Diary of River Song box set, one with Colin Baker in. It's by James Goss. I know nothing about it, but could have done a little more research then. I felt like Thin Ice I can forgive because it's a story, a lost story, doesn't necessarily count. Whereas World Enough and Time, I'm pretty sure Big Finish Diary of River Song's meant to be canonical. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but yeah, bit stupid to have done that. You're gonna, when I say you're gonna cause a bit of confusion, I suppose you won't really, because most people just assume you're talking about that. But I suppose if you are talking about the River Song story, then people will get confused. I think that's a pretty stupid move. Surely he should be, as showrunner, up to date enough with names, or at least research the names he's using before he puts them on his episodes. Either way, I prefer these titles don't seem focused enough on the Cybermen, and that again gets me worried that the Cybermen will be taking a back seat in this story, which has been their downfall for a very long time. They've taken a back seat to some of a story element that apparently is more important than them, which just kind of diminishes their value as a villain, and I haven't liked that, and that's part of why the Cybermen have been so, not very good for a very long time, and it looks like they're doing it again, but I won't judge. Oh, and also, nearly forgot to say, the Cyber Cybermen and the Iron Men Cybermen are in this as well. Yeah. Way to take away the whole idea of having Mondasians in there. Great job. I don't know, maybe it'll work. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm definitely concerned about this one. Very concerned. I'm not saying it's going to be good, not saying it's going to be bad, but very concerned, because it looks like, even though initially I thought, yeah, he's bringing the Mondasians back, he gets the Cybermen, and the image of that top-notch Cyberman as well, that looks really cool. I'll put that on, I think that'll be on screen right now in the editing. But yeah, not sure about this one. Gonna have to wait and see, because I'm not as excited as I initially was, because I'm not sure it's coming together in the way that I thought it was going to, which it still could work. I'll have to wait and see, as I've said about a million times, because that's the most important thing in this video. I'm not prejudging these stories. We'll have to wait and see. I'm just commenting on what I know. There's a couple more things to discuss before I end this video, and the first one is John Simm is returning as the Master. What are my thoughts on this? Because I expect a lot of you think I'm going to be really angry and really frustrated, as I have railed on John Simm's Master in the past, because I really don't like him. I really don't like that Master. Good actor, makes a good villain, even, just not a good Master. I can't take him seriously at all, and he acts nothing like the Master. I mean, go check out my John Simm rant with Shay Kellier from a few months ago if you want to find out why. But I'm not as angry as you might think. Of course, my initial reaction was, why are they doing this? But I mean, obviously I know why they're doing this, because he is like the most well-known Master who's still alive, pretty much. He's an obvious choice to bring back. And, to do with two Masters in Doctor Who like they did in Big Finish last year, it's a pretty obvious idea, and it could work. And here's why I'm going to give Simm's Master another chance. One, because John Simm didn't actually want to do the kind of mad, batshit crazy performance. That was RTD's idea. John Simm wanted to do a more Delgado-like performance, so maybe without RTD, he might tone it down a little bit, which could exponentially help his Master, at least from my point of view. And number two, Stephen Moffat's writing for him. And while, I picked plenty of bones with Stephen Moffat, RTD's idea was the batshit crazy one, and, even if Missy as a character isn't very well done, I still feel like she's more the Master than John Simm ever was, because she is a little more toned down. I can take her a bit more seriously, aside from when she's tickling Daleks in the balls, But again, that's just generally how Moffat writes female characters. Maybe he can write a good John Simm, or if he doesn't necessarily write John Simm that well, maybe Simm, in his performance, can make it work. Obviously, I don't have extremely high hopes for this. I just think it's fair to give him a chance, because he's never been under another writer, and he didn't initially get to do what he wanted to do. So give him a chance, people. I mean, I don't expect it to be good, but I'll wait and see. So I think it'd be interesting to talk about Bill and Nardo. So first off, we've got Bill, who we can't really judge all that much as we haven't really seen her in any proper episodes yet, so even though I'm going to make a few judgments here and say a few things, don't take it 100% seriously because obviously I can't judge and I don't pretend to. I don't pretend to know what she'll be like, but this is based off what we've seen so far and just a few comments. So first of all, we've got that trailer way back in 2016, which I really did not like her in. She seemed like an annoying kind of muffat, clever dialogue mouthpiece who devalued the Daleks as a villain in her first 20 seconds on screen. I didn't like it, but again, that was nearly a year ago. I think it might even be a year ago, I don't remember when that aired, but I think that probably isn't the character we're getting. That was more or less just Muffat scribbling a few things down to have that companion reveal to help fill the void that was 2016 for televised Doctor Who. And after that, we've had like a few trailers. I didn't like that line in one of the trailers particularly. Nothing else really stood out, but this one did. The TARDIS looks like a kitchen. It's meant to be a joke, but it's not funny. It's just puzzling because it doesn't look like a kitchen. And I think this is because she's meant to be somebody who serves chips for a living. But it's like, you know, when you serve chips for a living, it's not like another occupation, like, say, being a rocket scientist, where it kind of consumes your life. It's just something you do to pay the bills. So you don't all of a sudden relate everything to kitchens because you serve chips. It's not like this huge profession, and I don't get why there's a focus on this. And if that continues throughout the series, it's going to be annoying. Let's just hope it stays at that one joke and we never hear of it again, but we'll see. And also, before we move on to Nardo, I'd like to apologise for last week's video and how I said that Pearl Mackie was leaving at the end of the series. I have rectified it in the title and the description, but the point is, I got my source from what I thought was Pearl Mackie's official Facebook page, but it turns out it was unofficial, and stupid me should have checked that, and the source they were using was The Sun. Now, The Sun has actually been right lately, weirdly, which is very out of character for them, but still, don't trust them an inch. We'll wait and see, maybe they are right, maybe they're not, and everything I said other than she's definitely leaving in that video still stands. Now on to Nardo. So he's less of an unknown quantity than Bill is because we've actually seen him in 2 episodes. In the first one, he was alright, he was just like this inoffensive minor character with a tiny bit of comic relief. When they announced he was coming back, I didn't even know who he was because he was so unmemorable in that story, but that doesn't necessarily mean bad. Maybe with a bit more characterization and development, he could work. But wrong! In the Return of Dr. Mysterio, he gets no characterization and no development. He's shoved to the background for the sake of that superhero plot. Oh, golly, how nice. Yeah, I really didn't like Nardo in that. It's not that he was a bad character. It's just the fact that this is somebody who we're going to see throughout Series 10, and the only possible thing that you could describe as a personality trait that he has is quirky, which isn't a proper character trait. That's just one minor attribute. That doesn't equal a character. He still has no character. I hope that he can actually get developed and we can see his motivations and become a fully fleshed out character in Series 10, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure, I'm a bit skeptical, but again, prove me wrong with that, please. I want to like this character, I want it to be a good character. There you go. So to finish this video, I thought I'd talk about some interesting comments which Capaldi made. I know Moffat often makes some comments before each series, but they always turn out to be a load of rot. Like, it's just kind of, you know, vague corporate comments to kind of get you to watch the show, which is understandable. They do want the viewers, but at the same time, can you just be honest with us rather than being really vague and saying things which don't really mean anything just to try and get people to watch the episode? Just be honest with us, and if it, you know, sounds genuinely exciting, people will go and watch it. But aside from that little rant, let's talk about Capaldi's comments. They could obviously be the same as the other comments, it could just be something he's been told to say, but I don't know, it sounds about right, especially from some of Moffat's comments about it being more back to basics. He says that it's going to be more like just the Doctor taking people around the universe, showing them exotic places which have danger in them, like a more traditional style of Doctor Who, where it's just exploration of the universe, pure and unembellished. And I really hope that's true, because I'm getting really sick of these overblown story arcs. they are getting really annoying, especially when they have either A, no satisfactory resolution, or B, are just fucking annoying in the way that they change the show's lore. Like, I think the best examples of this is Hellbent with the hybrid, where does anybody know what the hybrid was? It doesn't really seem to specifically say anything, and if it is meant to be the Doctor and Clara, well, why was that prophesied? Why are they that much of a danger? Oh, well, I suppose because he did take Clara out of time, but even so, two people are not a hybrid, and it's just a mind blow. It was not in a good way either. It's just like, you can't understand it, because I'm not even sure Stephen Moffat understands what he's writing there. And then also you've got all sorts of other ones where, like, it's just either A, intrusive on the lore, or B, intrusive just on individual episodes, like, for example, The Impossible Girl, where, oh, now everybody who's ever saved the Doctor is Clara. Yeah, thanks a lot. Just change 50 years of lore there. Thanks, Moffat. Great. And then also, you could just got ones which I feel are too intrusive on stories, like, for example, the Crack story arc in Time Vigil's Flesh and Stone. I want to watch that episode out of the context of Series 5. I don't want to have to watch the rest of Series 5 to have to watch that. I mean, I know you can watch it out of context, but it just feels annoying how the story arc gets so involved. I prefer to watch it as this kind of isolated bit of content. I think it's probably to do with the fact that I prefer serialization. I don't have anything against story arcs when they're done well. It's just I prefer to be able to watch my episodes and have them, pan out in their own separate ways, because there's that part in Time Vigil's Flesh and Stone where part of the plot and how it's resolved is the fact that there is a crack in time on that spaceship. But I suppose at that point you're just getting into my personal opinion, so it's not quite as valid as what I was talking about earlier. But either way, I hope this is true, as I am really bored and sick and tired of story arcs, and it just felt like they were doing them for the sake of doing them. But we'll have to see. Maybe that comment just means nothing, and there is a story arc. That's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. I know it was a bit of a long and rambly one, but I just wanted to get some things off my chest before Series 10 airs. I hope you're looking forward to my Series 10 panel discussions, which will be going up every week a few days after each episode airs, where I'll be talking with a few other people what are our thoughts on the episode. And that's it for now, and I'll see you all back next time in another video.